Hey folks, Dennis here with Las Vegas Worm Farm, and we're gonna have our Wednesday worm topic of the week. Yes, I know. Usually it's an AI thing that I produce, but unfortunately my laptop decided that it wanted to stop working. It went on strike. So you guys are gonna have to put up with me. So with that being said, I will jump into my notes because this is the only way I can stay on track. Unless you guys want me to ramble and ramble and ramble. But we're not going to do that today. Today, what we're going to talk about is what we talked about at the workshop this past weekend. We talked about liquid gold, how to create it, the benefits of it, and how to actually use it. So I wanted to show you guys, share with you guys a little bit of that, what we talked about during that workshop. So the first thing we'll kind of jump into is, what do you do when your plants are struggling? A lot of people, they look at their plants, they're like, oh, okay, I got leaves changing colors, I got this, that, and the other, and they go to diagnosing. They look at other pictures and they say, okay, if the leaves are turning yellow, it needs iron or it needs nitrogen and it needs this, that, and the other. And that's one way of going about it, but that's not necessarily the way that I practice it or I teach it in my Living Soil community. We go down into the soil and see what the deficiencies are, right? Like your plant might be exhibiting deficiencies, but if your plant doesn't have access to all the nutrients, then it's going to be deficient, just like you and I, right? If we don't have access to healthy foods, it doesn't matter what foods we put in there. If it's not healthy, we're not going to be healthy. The same thing goes for your plants. So let's make sure we put the right stuff into the soil. So some things that can occur during the summertime is you can get wilt, you can get changing of colors, your plants might be not looking as good as they could. And this is usually caused by heat stress, right? Most of the time we have an irrigation system put in place, and that irrigation system keeps things water and keeps things moist. Because you have it set on a timer, it's on a regular basis, so it should be fine. But sometimes the heat is just too much for our plants. Now, there's a couple of things at play here. It's hot in Vegas. There's really nothing we can do about that, right? But you can put up a shade structure to help some of those more sensitive plants out. I myself don't use shade structure. I'm just don't like the way it looks, and it's survival of the fittest in my yard. So if I do have sensitive plants, I will try to plant it in that corner where I have a tree and some shade. But besides that, it goes out there and it is what it is. So if you can't provide any shade for it, then maybe provide the best thing that you can in the soil, and that is making sure that the right microorganisms are there by using an extract. Alrighty, so what is this extract and why do we call it liquid gold? Well, everybody knows that worm castings are called black gold. Well, if you take those worm castings, you turn them into a liquid solution and you pour that onto your soil and your plants, it's liquid gold at this point. What we're doing when we're creating this extract is we're taking the microorganisms from the organic material, we're stripping them off, we're putting them in solution, and then we're pouring that liquid onto our soil surface. This makes sure that we get the microorganisms down into the root zone where they can do all of the work that they need to give the plant access to all of the nutrients that it would ever need. So if your plant is feeling or is looking a little under the weather, then maybe giving a multivitamin, some liquid gold, will help it perk up a little bit. So how does this extract actually make things perk up? Well, in my community, in the Living Soil community, we dive deeper into living soil and how biology and microorganisms and plants and all of these things interact in the soil. What I can tell you is that Mother Nature has her own way of doing things, right? All we're doing when we're taking extracts, worm castings, and compost, we're taking what's already natural and we're giving it to the plants in concentration, right? In concentration or in more quantities, right? And the reason we do that is because in nature, plants have their own timeline, but when we put them in our yard, we want them to bloom at certain times. We also put them in close proximity to other plants, which cause more stress, and they need more access to more nutrients, right? So when we do this, we need to kind of boost that system, and we're doing it all naturally by using liquid gold, worm castings, and compost to be able to accomplish that. What actually occurs is these microorganisms get into the soil, they break down these organic materials, which provides food for your plant, and then your plant has access to more food. Everybody wants more food, right? So get those microbes in there to help your plant out during times when it's stressful for them. The next thing is, what's in this extract, right? Well, there are some soluble nutrients. There are some nutrients that your plant can take up immediately, right? But there's not a lot of those. Believe it or not, other products have more nutrients in them than worm castings actually do. The reason why worm castings are so good is because of the biology that's in them. Worms are microbe factories. These microorganisms are what bring nutrients to your plant, right? The more of those guys you have, the more they're breaking things down and the more access your plant has to food. And the more access your plant has to food, the healthier it is, the bigger it grows, the more flowers it puts on, the better the food tastes that it produces, the more vibrant the colors, and the more aroma the flowers actually have, right? Because it's able to hit these secondary metabolites. On a tangent here. We talk more about that again in our Living Soil community. So, how do we create this extract? It's pretty simple. We just take some water that's been dechlorinated, we add our worm castings into that. The key here is to make sure that you have worm castings or compost or whatever you're adding to your liquid has to be biologically alive. If you're getting something from the store that's been sitting on a shelf in a bag that's sealed, I can tell you that it's probably not alive. So picking something that's local or that you've made yourself, some of the best biologically living things that I've seen are things that people have created in their backyards, believe it or not. It's better than a lot, actually, it's probably better than all of the things that I've tested that are on the shelves. So get something that's locally created. There's reasons behind that. But the second thing is make sure that whatever you're getting hasn't been sitting in a bag and sealed up and is completely dry, right? We're looking for the microorganisms here. We're looking for the living things in that solution. So if it's in a bag with no oxygen, well, living things die with no air. It's not going to be alive. If you seal it in a bag with no moisture, living things need water to be able to survive. It's going to die. So this is why I always tell people that buying something local is going to be way better than if you buy something off the big box store. But I understand not everybody has access to that. So get what you can, but understand that something that's local is going to be way better than something that's been in a bag and sealed for who knows how long. Sweet. I was supposed to tell you guys how to create this. You're going to take that dechlorinated water. You're going to put your worm castings in there. You're going to mix that up. And once you mix that up and you've knocked off all of these microorganisms and you put them in solution, you're going to use that liquid on your plants immediately. Do not let this stuff sit out. Do not aerate it. Do not add anything to it. You're going to just take that liquid and use it out and use it on all of your plants. The next topic I think is when to apply, which we'll jump right into, is when you do create this liquid gold, you apply it in the morning or in the evening, before sunup or right after the sun goes down. And the reason for that is, again, we're talking about microorganisms. Y'all remember COVID when we're using UV lights, right, to be able to kill all the microorganisms? They just put this lamp in a room and it kills everything because it zaps it. Well, UV rays come from the sun. Sun kills microorganisms. So we don't want to put this on our plants in the middle of the sun, right? Because we're going to kill we're going to kill some of the microorganisms that are in that solution. So always before the sun comes up or right before the sun goes down. And then the only thing I'll tell you guys is when do you apply this? You apply it whenever you see issues with your plants. That's it. If you want to do it more than that, by all means, you can do it more than that. But one thing I will tell you is that, well, maybe I don't have anything. Yeah. How often do you apply it? When I have plants that are ill or not doing well, I'll do it a minimum of once a week. If it is a high traffic area or things that are being touched or utilized a lot, then maybe, every other day is okay. I'll do that for about a month and then I'll stop and then I'll go to monthly. Once the plant starts improving, I'll leave it alone. That system should cycle on its own. Now, if it doesn't, then we have another problem, but most of the time, that'll solve all your problems. It's pretty simple, guys. I am lazy. I like to keep it simple, so this is what I show you guys. And as you can see in my backyard, that's what I have, right? I use as much water as I need to keep the plants alive and no more. I use extract when needed and when I think that the plant is going to be stressed out, and that's usually during transplant. If you guys have more questions, hopefully you found this topic useful. You can drop a comment down below. Again, we'll probably get back to our normal AI stuff when my computer is fixed. Hopefully. Maybe. We'll see. But that's all I got for you guys. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye.